There's so much beauty and peace in living a life that just simply feels like the one that you're supposed to live. Living a soft life and emulating softness is directly correlated to a life lived in alignment with your feminine energy, which is something that should really matter to you if you're interested in living a life that actually feels like one that belongs to you and gives you peace. Hi and welcome. I'm Amanda, a busy full-time working mom, and I teach women just like you how to thrive in your feminine energy despite all the masculine demands in your life. Down below, you'll find a link to sign up for my free weekly newsletter where I share simple tips to help you get in your feminine energy, encouragement, and anything under the sun really that will help make your life easier, more enjoyable, and help you get more aligned with yourself. So what does it even mean to be soft, and why does it matter to you? Well, to be soft or to live a life of softness means to have more peace and ease in your life. It also means to have more presence, and if it's not obvious, that should matter to you because the opposite of a life lived in one that way is one filled with stress and unease and discontentment. Living a soft life and emulating softness is directly correlated to a life lived in alignment with your feminine energy. So being a soft woman is definitely not about being soft for anyone, but rather it's about being soft so you can live a life of ease and peace for yourself. And yes, naturally, those around you will naturally be affected by that softness as a byproduct, and that's wonderful because the world needs more softness. But how your softness benefits those around you is not the main goal. It's not the why. You and how you experience life is why it's important to know how to live a softer life. And to be clear, striving to live a soft life does not mean avoiding all struggles at all times. That's not realistic. Struggles are inevitable, but rather it's about learning how to manage and mitigate stress and hardships better. I love being a woman, and I love embracing the unique strengths that a woman, particularly one in alignment with her feminine energy, brings to the world and her family. A soft feminine woman is nurturing and caring. She is poised and in control of her emotions. She is supportive of her masculine partner. Rather than being that strong rock, the glue that holds the family together, she is a safe and soft spot for her people to land and find comfort in. She embodies lightness and joy and spreads it to those who come into contact with her. I love being that woman, and particularly that kind of woman for my family. But you know what? Society doesn't make it very easy to be her. It's actually significantly easier to be hard and harsh and stressed and driven and worried and defensive and the masculine qualities go on and on. There's a societal trend of encouraging women to develop masculine traits, and before we realize it, so many of us have gotten sucked into living a life where we are predominantly in our masculine energy, and it's harmful to our marriages, our children, our friendships, and frankly, to society as a whole. Women being pulled away from their natural softness is hurting society on a macro level and hurting our families on a micro level. Not to mention, it's hurting yourself, which is the most detrimental of all. And please hear me when I tell you that I say all of this not from a place of judgment at all whatsoever, because I was there. I just started to come out of my overwhelming masculine energy a couple years ago because I realized it was hurting my family. So know that if you're sitting there thinking, uh-oh, that sounds like me, I am not judging you whatsoever. I was you. I know exactly how you feel, and I want to help. Because if you're watching this video, if you clicked on it, I can only assume that it is because you already know that you want to live a softer life and become a softer kind of woman. You are hurting yourself, which is the most important thing of all that we need to address and work on. Because the effects of a woman who is naturally most aligned when she is in her feminine energy, which, by the way, is most women, and I can't take the time to explain this in every video in which I mention feminine energy because that would get old real fast. But I trust that you know whether or not that is true for yourself. Anyways, for a woman who is most naturally most aligned when she's in her feminine energy, the effects of predominantly leading with masculine energy are terrible. It looks like feeling overwhelmed or burnt out, near constant stress, general discontentment with life. Sometimes it can even show up as chronic pain. And this is why living a softer life as a woman who is aligned with her feminine energy is so important, because that is the alternative. And if you're thinking to yourself, all those terrible effects I just mentioned feel like regular life, yeah, I get it. And that's the whole problem. That's the whole point. I've been there, and it took me getting to rock bottom to understand and crawl myself out of it into the version of my life where I am now, where I am aligned with my feminine energy. And there's so much beauty and peace in living a life that just simply feels like the one that you're supposed to live. One that is easy and feels natural. And there is nothing in the world better than that. So let's talk about how to get there. The first and most important thing that you need to do in order to master the art of softness is to balance your masculine and feminine energies. And first of all, we all have both energies within us, and we always will be in both energies to some degree. The goal isn't to never ever be in your masculine energy, but the goal is to shift it so that way you switch from being predominantly in your masculine energy to predominantly in your feminine energy. I have so many videos on this channel about how to do just that. So in this one, I'm just going to give the cliff notes. But if you want to dive deeper, check out the rest of the videos on my channel, because probably like 80% of them are specifically about how to get more aligned with your feminine energy. But here's an overview for this video. The keys to becoming more aligned with your feminine energy and therefore living a softer life are true self-care, and we're going to get into that specification, listening to your own intuition, being in flow, and of course, slowing down. So true self-care means loving and respecting yourself so much that you are willing to give yourself and your body the care that it needs. And sometimes that means rejecting what your brain wants to indulge in. It's not about indulging in behaviors like eating too much ice cream or drinking too much wine and binge watching crappy reality TV. It means genuinely nurturing your body and soul, like getting enough sleep and eating the foods that nourish you and help you to feel your best, or exercising while doing something you actually enjoy and aligns with your feminine energy, like yoga or dance, or walking outside in nature, and getting enough sunlight and getting your water. And you should be prioritizing this kind of self-care unapologetically. No one is going to do it for you. And as I previously mentioned, a big part of softness and feminine energy is being nurturing. And who should get your nurturing above all else? You, yourself. Self-care is also about how you present yourself to the world, which looks different to everyone, but all that matters is how you feel about how you're presenting yourself to the world, because your physical and exterior self speaks for you when your words don't. To really listen to your intuition means to trust your instincts when it comes to all things, big and small. If your intuition tells you over and over and over again that you need to make a career change, or to have another baby, or that you don't want kids, or to move across the country, or maybe it's as simple as telling you that your body actually needs some yoga today instead of that super harsh CrossFit class that you had planned, or that you need to delete Instagram off your phone. Your intuition speaks to you all day long, and it's so easy to ignore it or to not even have the capacity to hear it. But to be in your feminine energy is to listen and take action on what your intuition is telling you and trusting it. And I'll say that the more that you do it, the easier it will be, and frankly, the more beautiful and aligned your life will become. I always have a bit of a hard time explaining exactly what it means to be in flow as it relates to feminine energy, but here's how I think of it in a practical sense. It's a lot like listening to your intuition, but on a smaller scale. As a woman who has been used to being in her masculine energy, you almost lose the ability to do what you genuinely want to do. And to me, that's exactly what being in flow is. Doing what simply feels good to you in the moment without being indulgent. Like eating what feels good. So not the greasy Taco Bell burrito that your indulgent brain tells you to eat, but also not the tiny salad or protein shake that your goal-driven masculine energy wants you to eat, but what would actually feel amazing. like maybe a nutritious, filling, and delicious taco salad. That's a really weird example, but I hope it paints the picture. Or like my yoga versus CrossFit example. Sometimes your body wants the hard workout, sometimes it wants the yoga, sometimes it wants a challenging yoga practice. And speaking of practice, this all takes work and practice to feel natural. It's really sad, but society has trained us to almost either be super rigid or impulsive at all times. And it actually takes a lot more work and is less natural for a person who has been predominantly in their masculine energy for a very long time to be intuitive and in flow. So get in the habit of constantly checking in with yourself, constantly taking action on what you truly want and need in a given moment. That's what being in flow means to me. Another aspect of mastering the art of softness is the embodiment of self-awareness and security in yourself. Being so in tune and sure of who you really are. And just like flow, that self-discovery piece can be pretty hard to tap into. You might not truly know yourself right now, and that's okay. So here's some questions that you can mull over, and I actually recommend spending some time journaling on them so that way you can start your journey of self-discovery and get to really know yourself. That's really important. Without all the masculine pressures that society has drilled into you for far too long. So here's some questions that you can start asking yourself. What makes you unique? Are you living in your truth? What is your truth? What are you passionate about? What do you actually like doing? What do you not like doing and want to stop doing? What genuinely fulfills you? And another point that I want to make as it relates to self-discovery is the toxicity that can come from self-improvement. And if you're a self-improvement junkie, it may get to a point where constantly leveling up or trying to is actually doing more harm than good. And I went through this a few years ago, and maybe it's a story that sounds familiar to you. I binged self-help books and podcasts and YouTube videos almost constantly, which, by the way, is very masculine behavior because the feminine energy is just about being, not trying to force herself to be better. I was always trying to level up, and without even realizing it, what that actually meant is that I didn't think I was good enough as I was. And that is so toxic and damaging to our feminine energy. You do not need to improve yourself. You are enough and wonderful just as you are. There were 1,000 things that contributed to my journey to healing my wounded feminine energy, but this was definitely a catalyst. I got to a point where I realized that nothing was resonating anymore. I wasn't really implementing anything, and I just kept reading or listening to things that made me feel like I wasn't good enough and probably never would be. And the constant pursuit to always improve oneself is a very masculine trait because remember, feminine energy is just all about being. You don't need to be better. All you need to do to embrace your feminine energy is just be your truest self exactly as you are. And the only improvement you need to do are things that get you closer to becoming the youest version of yourself that is true. And so if this sounds like you, I challenge you to stop trying to improve and instead educate yourself on how to just be you, which is actually a lot harder than it sounds. Shift your focus to learning more about divine feminine energy, not to improve yourself, but to learn how to stop trying to. And I actually think that's exactly why it's so easy to become addicted to self-help, because it's easier to think that you can grind your way to a better, different you than it is to just stop and embrace yourself exactly as you are. But your feminine energy is begging that you do exactly that. And it's also begging you to slow down. It's probably easy to understand that slowing down is directly related to living a softer life as a softer woman. And slowing down can mean so many different things. Because in this society, we're all doing way too many things. So the opportunity to slow down is great because for the most part, you're doing way too much. Take the pressure off yourself to conform to societal standards that you don't even really agree with if you're being honest with yourself. But it is imperative that you slow down for the sake of protecting your peace and living a softer life. If there's anything that you can delegate, do it. It is so important to ask for help. And by the way, helping is masculine, and your masculine partner wants to feed his masculine energy by making your life easier, whether you realize it or not. Doing everything yourself leads to stress, overwhelm, and burnout, which I'm sure you're well aware of. Instead, command more softness in your life by channeling that energy into mindfulness and being present. And please, for the love of all that is holy, stop consuming so much social media and negative media in general. Just stop consuming so much information. My life literally changed when I deleted social media. Not only did I gain back all that time that I was spending on it, but the peace and brain space that it gave me back was invaluable. And when you eliminate stressors and slow down, of course it's going to reduce stress and create space for more fulfilling activities and connecting with your feminine energy. Aside from all that you can take away in order to slow down, here are some things that you can do to help add some softness into your life. You could take up meditation or yoga, my personal favorite. Learn to embrace and enjoy quiet time. Listen to relaxing music. Do hobbies that feel creative, like crochet or painting. I haven't taken up crochet yet, but it is on my list and I think I'm going to start that this week. I feel intimidated by it because I feel like it's complicated, but I also think I'd really enjoy it, so I'm just gonna go for it. The masculine energy is activated when you're doing action-oriented, external, goal-driven thing. It's not possible to be in that masculine energy state while you're being soft. They're opposites. Feminine energy, on the other hand, is where that softness comes from, and it is activated when you operate from a place that is more introspective and emotional and creative and intuitive. And the consequences of the imbalance of the two are overextending yourself, exhaustion, stress, and a general discontentment, which should not be taken lightly. Whereas when you have balance and are aligned with your feminine energy, you are happier and more at peace because you're living the version of your life that feels authentic to you. And that cannot be discounted. Don't forget to check out the description box below and sign up for my free weekly newsletter where I share simple tips to get in your feminine energy, encouragement, and anything under the sun to help make your life easier, more enjoyable, and get you more aligned with yourself. And next, I recommend this video. I think it's a total of 13 micro habits that will easily boost your feminine energy. And please share your thoughts and experiences with living a softer life in the comments below because your insights could really help someone else who is on their journey to become a softer woman. I look forward to talking to you next time, and thank you so much for being here. Be sure to subscribe for more videos about embracing your feminine energy and living the life of your dreams. Stay aligned.